The town of Hinton respectfully acknowledges that it is located on the First Peoples traditional lands. We recognize this traditional territory to show respect and understanding to those who walk this land since time immemorial. Today, we uphold our ongoing responsibility to work together in the spirit of the intent of the treaties with all the First Peoples and nations that call this place home. The town expresses gratitude for the opportunity to build a better community on these sacred lands for generations to come. And now we will call our regular council meeting for September 2nd, 2025 to order. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Councillor, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, CAO Panasic, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
No changes from administration.
Thank you, CAO Panasic. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to move that we accept the agenda for the regular council meeting of September 2nd, 2025 as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Magoon voting in favor by hand. And that motion is carried unanimously. That will take us to section 3, council minutes for adoption, and item 3.1. Council? Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move that we adopt the regular council meeting for August 19th, 2025, and the committee of the whole meeting, August 26th, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is that council adopt the minutes from the regular council meeting August 19th, 2025, and the committee of the whole meeting August 26th, 2025. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. That will take us to section 4, community announcements, of which there are none today, and section 5, delegations. We have the Hinton Mountain Bike Association presented by Sean Garreau. Mr. Garreau?
Thank you. Test. And I would just like to, first of all, thank everyone for coming today. Thank you, Council, for your time and consideration, and thank you to our engaged community. With me today, I have our president, who is a volunteer in our community. His name is Hal Jackson. I think the first 3 things we just need to quickly touch on is who we are and what we do. Our mandate is to provide and maintain public free access multi-purpose mountain bike trails and facilities, while also promoting local mountain bike events and activities for community participation and healthy recreation. So we try to do a lot. We are coordinated by an executive board and run by our dedicated local volunteers, and that's been since 2007. So yeah, we are a not-for-profit. We are a registered charitable organization. And we have multiple networks. We have the Happy Creek Trail System, the Hinton Bike Park. We're reviving the Jacks Trail Network, and the Bighorn Trail Network is the most kind of recent main project with partnership with West Fraser. So in total, our volunteer organization manages almost 100 kilometers of trail. We have several successes here in 2025. If I may, what I'll do is I actually want to highlight one success at the beginning. The photo there is a local who just moved here. His name is Calvin. He's become a friend of mine. His wife, Allie, and their 2 children moved here with CN. And when I was talking to him at a mountain biking group ride, he was saying he didn't get transferred here. He was excited. He wanted to move here. And for him and his young family, it was because of the recreation in our community that they were so excited to look for the opportunity to move to Hinton. So when we talk about our successes, I'm going to talk about a bunch of organizational specific successes for us this year. But I also just want you to all be mindful of some of our successes in those macro, long-ended ways, because we have issues in our community with recruitment and retention, with doctors, nurses, teachers, and high-end level people at our mine, our pulp mill and CN. So bringing someone like Calvin is awesome. Beyond that, I would say some KPIs can show our successes. We have about the same number of members as last year, which in a waning post-COVID recreation industry, seeing that be static is actually a win. Our logged volunteer hours, even though our fiscal year is not complete, already exceed last year. And our user reported rides, even though our fiscal year is not complete, greatly exceed last year. So we are actually getting a lot better at gathering our data, which is another success for us. Another thing I would point out is the economic benefits of mountain biking. So in March 2025, a US-based think tank did a meta-analysis of the industry, and they found that in US dollars per visit, a mountain bike visit was worth 416 US dollars. So that's what they found. Through our own parking lot survey study, we found about on a busy day, so whether that's a Wednesday on a nice day in the summer or a weekend, we found about 50% of our users in the parking lot were from out of town. They averaged about $200 in reported spending in our community. If you take some of those numbers and you extrapolate the very, very basic underreported data of our bike park usage on Trailforks, which is about 10,000 reported uses just through that one app, which is a tiny fraction of our use. When you add it up, we're looking at a low ball of a $5 million GDP asset through 2008 to today. So just looking at some of our successes from this year and reaching them into a historic context, I think is important. More successes with our bike park maintenance. Thank you for the town of Hinton for supporting us with this. I think we spent about $26,000 on bike park maintenance, with you guys contributing $22,000. That's a massive contribution, and we're very grateful. It demonstrates we're making it work with what we have, and we're making this partnership mutually beneficial. Couldn't do it without you. We also couldn't do it without Domino's Pizza. A nice lighthearted joke for one of our sponsors here, because truthfully, we had 60 hours of volunteers that showed up, and Domino's, our local chapter, reached out and was like, hey, we heard you're doing something, let us contribute pizza. So to see that, not just from Domino's, but from so many of our partners is so great. Another thing with our maintenance I should quickly mention is we've already started talking with some of our town of Hinton liaisons, and we want to start looking at replacing some of the features in the skills area and the technical trail features elsewhere in the bike park, and looking at what that means in the next couple of years with using our capital enhancement funds. So that's another thing that the collaborative efforts are beginning to become real and underway. Obviously, another success, our mini flow. Thank you again, Town of Hinton. You supported us to make sure that we could get grants with the government of Alberta, with the Athletic Brewery, even local donors who heard about this project and believed in it, went out of their way to give a $5,000 donation to make this project the way it was envisioned by the builder. So thank you to Jay Sanders and the Sanders Family Foundation. Through all of those different partnering efforts, we're going to have a new trail that, if I'm not mistaken, like it'll be a great youth development trail that'll benefit the children of some of the people in this room. So we're very fortunate to be able to invest in our community and see that recreational facility become an asset. Obviously, again, we had volunteers show up and do 70+ hours on the mini flow. So I don't want to stop don't want to continue without stopping to thank them as well. Town of Hinton operating agreement. I'll try to blow through this as quickly as possible because there isn't really much change. We've had a good history of these agreements. We're basically asking to just kind of renew and just build upon that partnership through the capital fund and through the operating fund. The collaborative efforts have been with some of the Town of Hinton liaisons. They're already well underway, and I believe we have an agreement in principle. So I don't think there's too much more to be said there, nothing changing too much, but definitely let me know if you have questions at the end. And to go back to that bike park operating agreement, that covers just the municipal lands, just the bike park. obviously, we actually have more kilometers of trail extending beyond the bike park. So that's where this Alberta Trail Manager status really comes into play. It's where we get our land permissions to access and develop those trails. I think it's important to note this is a difficult status to get, and we've only had it a couple years. It is an important form of recognition of our trail stewardship. And we're changing how we're operating as we go into this stage of having this status and getting some of the grant funds that go with the status. So we are learning how to use contractors for major projects like boardwalks and bridges, which has been a great learning opportunity. Some of the cons is we are kind of patiently waiting on the government of Alberta as well with just kind of some of the development workflows, because now that we're getting maintenance dollars, we have a grant agreement, we want to be compliant. It is sometimes hard to develop new trails when everything is new and we're all working together to build something. So yes, we've been a good partner and we follow the rules. Again, because we follow the rules and we're patiently, working with our partners, we do have the ability to access different grants and funds, and that does give us the ability to do maintenance, get signage updated, have an executive director position to support operational directives and build long-term capacities. And we've gotten a lot of tools which we can use both inside the bike park and on those government lands, tens of thousands of dollars of tools in different ways. So awesome opportunity. And again, I don't want to continue without stopping to say we're grateful and thankful for the good partnership we have with the province, because overall their support is totally necessary and we're so grateful. But it does come with its challenges when you're building new processes and you just want to follow the rules and be compliant. Why I kind of harp on this compliance thing is the Bighorn Ridge is such an awesome project and such a great opportunity for our community. A lot of the local enthusiastic riders kind of ask about what are the next developments? What are the next developments? When are we connecting it to town? When are we getting a shuttle road? People dream big. And at the end of the day, we just want to be mindful that we're respecting planning for fire hazard reduction, which, we don't really see any issues, but also, being mindful of that provincial development process. Like, how do we build new trails and stay compliant? Because the 2020 Trails Act is still new and we're all building these bureaucratic processes together. And then as I talk about that opportunity, again, before I continue, I need to thank people, because as a community organization, we always have people to thank that make this possible. West Fraser and Firma have been excellent partners and seem to have intense interest in helping us to continue to maintain and maybe even develop that area further. But as a partner who knows about land permissions, they are totally supportive of us needing to see that clear path and workflow on how do we develop new trails and be compliant, right? So onto Sprockheads and the Growler. Just want to quickly give them both a shout out because they're major operations for us. Sprockheads has a spring and fall session. It's run as a very grassroots kind of arm of our organization. Basically, anyone who's a HIMBA member gets in on our insurance, and it's a great way that we kind of, by having the proper channels, can just have a way for our community to meet up and hop on bikes together. And it's been a great asset. The Winter Growler race, 86% of the participants were from out of town. So it made us $1,000. I'm sure it made the town of Hinton and the Winter Magic Festival a few dollars as well. It was a great way for 25 plus of our HIMBA members to get together in a volunteering capacity, hands-on, everyone there that day. So we love supporting that event as well. And it's great because it brings value to all of our winter grooming efforts, because that's another whole program of people I need to thank. But they make our trails groomed in winter, and that really helps with being able to run that event. More activities that are pretty routine is the Monday and Wednesday group rides, volunteer maintenance night using our new tools, and a snow dog, which we actually have to thank again the town of Hinton for supporting us with getting a snow dog. We access some of our funds through our town of Hinton operating agreement with you guys. And that snow dog is going to help us groom trails in winter. So that's something that had no value in one season, now has a value in another season. We want to make it so that it's inviting for multi-use as per our mandate. But at the end of the day, we are packing these trails down. And if we can see just fat bikers on them, that would really be a way to help have that gain traction in our community. And we have big plans for next year. A lot of it is continuing all the cool things we're already doing, executing our annual work plan, which is a bunch of maintenance stuff that I don't want to bore you with today. We want to also fulfill administrative commitments to the province as a trail manager. We want to run another Growler fat bike race. We want to do our fall and spring maintenance. We want to support that grassroots Sprockets program. And we want to apply for a bunch of grants, hopefully to pair for the bike park and the skills replacements that are going to be required. So I've tried to go through everything else as quick as possible so that we can spend more time on this, because I'm sure this is something that you guys care a lot about. I think the most important thing to note with our financial report is the main revenues, memberships, roughly 10 grand. The mini flow grant money, 42 something grand. The bike park maintenance was 22 grand. And the province gave us 290 grand. So it's like, wow, that sounds like a lot of money. But with all of those grants, with all those agreements, we have direct offsetting liabilities where we are meant to do something. And if we don't do that thing, we are meant to give the money back. So just remember that any big number you see, probably in 6 months to a year when we pay the bill, we have an offsetting number, and it sometimes trickles into the next fiscal year. So please just be mindful of that. Some main expenses, the bike park, we overspent a little. Hoots, the contractor, also donates $5,000 extra as like a legacy donation. So we're doing it really tight, but we're making it work. Our insurance is clearly covered by our membership revenues. The Sprockets program and the Growler event both should happen even if they just break even, but they both are profitable and actually generate revenues. And then other operations are just small incidental operating costs and the government executive director position that's funded with the province. So yeah, basically just note, it looks like we have $165,000 as a balance, but about 145 of that, so almost all of it is just tied up with grant liabilities. For this upcoming year's budget, I used some red to highlight, hey, we're chasing other grant money. It would be great if we got it. And we think we have pretty competitive applications, but we probably shouldn't count on it. So let's use the black numbers just in case. So I've tried to paint two scenarios. What you'll notice is it really doesn't matter what one we look at, because if we get the best case scenario and we get all the red money, the grant money, there's a direct offsetting liability for that exact same dollar value to fulfill that grant project. So whether you want to talk red, whether you want to talk black, it's the same thing. Main revenue lines obviously are, again, grant funding. Main expenses are the grant requirements from the year previous, just because of that rollover with the fiscal year. We really just want to highlight that direct relationship between the money and highlight that when you think about our carryover cash, it looks like we have $71,000, but even 45,000 of that is earmarked for donor requests, and another 6,000 is earmarked for Sprockets. So obviously, if someone gives us some money, we want to honor their wishes. If Sprockets generates some money, we want to keep it within Sprockets. So yeah, I would say we have, to eyeball it, about $20,000 of liquid emergency funds, which, as you've seen from our annual bike park maintenance, that doesn't even really cover 1 year. So I would say we are operating on a pretty tight line in the grand scheme of our operations as a business. And on that note, we would never be able to operate as a business without all of the generous support we get from our community. I know we forgot some people who didn't make it on there, but we try to thank everyone through our Facebook posts, our social media posts. And at the end of the day, like, we just want everyone to feel, know that we are grateful, because to see the support we see from all the different pockets of our community, it's what keeps the volunteers coming out. It's what keeps our executive from all rolling over year. It's what keeps the local businesses giving us in-kind donations. So I'm sure I've gone over my time a little, but we really believe in what we do here. And I really thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garrow. Councillor, are there any questions for our presenter today? Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a question, a comment. I just have to tell you how proud I am when I go to the bike park and I talk to people who are here specifically to bike in Hinton. They drove all the way here to be here. And it's because of the work that you guys have done. So it makes me incredibly proud of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Councillor Magoon.
Yeah, no questions, just an appreciation for the hard work that you do as an organization to make sure that this is an asset that benefits not only people in our community, but certainly, all over the place, really worldwide. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Magoon. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you through the chair. I think for me, what I appreciate about the presentation is the explanation of all the different avenues that you're continually looking at to be growing and maintaining. So, through the programs, through the sponsorship of local businesses, through the town, through the province, all those different avenues. So sometimes we don't always get all of the information about all the things you're looking at. So having a fulsome understanding of all the different arms of what you guys are doing, the work that goes into that, the successes of the different programs, it really helps us grasp what's going on. And I agree with Councillor Race. Everywhere I go in other communities that I'm in, people are saying, "Oh, you guys have that great bike park." I've been hearing that more and more and more. So certainly the word is getting out, and more so than it, I think, has in the past, or maybe people are just chatting about it more, but I think you guys are doing great work, and it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Thank you very much, Mr. Garrow. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, Council, that will take us to section 6 of our agenda, action items, and item 6.1, Recreation Center Modernization Plebiscite Question. We're going to CL Panasic.
Thank you, Mayor. And I believe Ms. Dragon will take this one.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of Council. You have before you today the proposed plebiscite question for the Dr. Duncan Murray Recreation Centre modernisation vote. This was reviewed by committee at your last meeting last week. The proposed question is attachment 1 of the report today. It includes an overview of what the vote is for and outlines the 3 options for recreation centre modernisation. The ballot gives voters the opportunity to indicate their support for each modernisation operate separately, which in turn should give council clear direction on the community's preferred option or options. I'm available for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Dragon. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So option 2 and option 3, those monies do not include any grant money, any partnering with the county, nothing. So at the end of the day, when we do receive money from the province, from the county, from the town, will that, $50 that you'd be charging us every month on our taxes, would that reduce once we see that money come in from the province or the county?
CL Panasic.
Thank you through the mayor to Councillor Race. So when we spoke about that, we don't know for sure if we would implement that immediately or if that, but we think that that would be a conversation with council at the time where we could look at the environment after the plebiscite. We can make a determination of what we can reasonably expect and we would set that dollar amount. As of right now, there's no guarantees that, and I don't believe there's anything out there that would be big and meaningful, but we also know these projects are a long ways away. So we need to make, I think, as council and administration, some reasonable allowances for what we think, we we possibly could look at for some offsetting revenue, but we don't know that for sure. And we just wanted to give the raw numbers, but we did want to put a disclaimer in here that makes that clear. So, but I think at the end of the day, it'll be council's decision what we set for the budget and how much we have to charge.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, thank you. We have a handout here and the request to add some other assessment values. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that was really important to see. With that, I'd like to move the council approves the Recreation Center modernization plebiscite question, attachment 1 as presented. If I can speak to it.
Go right ahead.
I think that this accurately gives the opportunity for our citizens to make to answer this question, regardless, like realizing, yes, there are grants and there's other things that are going to come up and everything. But I mean, I think this gives a pretty good perspective on what our citizens might be expecting with these decisions. And it'll give the next council, that data to move forward with whatever decision they're going to make. So I'm comfortable with them the way they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hawes. Council, the motion on the floor is that council approve the Recreation Center modernization plebiscite question, attachment 1 as presented. Is there any further discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Stashik voting in favor by hand. And that is carried unanimously. Council, is there anything further for item 6.1 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to section 7, information items, and item 7.1 is a proclamation. Rail Safety Week, September 15th to 25th, 2025. Whereas Rail Safety Week is to be held across Canada from September 15th to 21st, 2025. Whereas 261 railway crossings and trespassing incidents occurred in Canada in 2024, resulting in 68 avoidable fatalities and 58 avoidable serious injuries. Whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that railway rights of way are private property, enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway rail grade crossings, ensuring pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railways, and obeying established traffic laws will reduce the number of avoidable fatalities and injuries caused by incidents involving trains and citizens. And whereas Operation Lifesaver is a public-private partnership whose aim is to work with the public, rail industry, governments, Indigenous communities, police services, media, and others to raise rail safety awareness. Whereas CN and Operation Lifesaver have requested Town Council adopt this resolution in support of its ongoing efforts to raise awareness, save lives, and prevent injuries in communities, including our municipality. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Nissen, Mayor of the Town of Hinton, do hereby proclaim September 15th to 21st, 2025 as Rail Safety Week in the Town of Hinton. That will take us to section 8 of the agenda, correspondence. And I will look to council for a motion to accept correspondence package. Councillor Chambers.
I'd like to make the motion that we accept the correspondence as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Council, the motion on the floor is that council accept the correspondence package for information. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Magoon voting in favor by hand. And that motion is carried unanimously. That will take us to section 9 of our agenda this evening, notices of motion. CEO Panasic, are there any notices of motion this week?
They're not.
Thank you, CEO Panasic. That will take us to section 10, reporting and council reports. Councillor Ostashik.
Thank you, Mayor Nissen. I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor Ostashik. Councillor Magoon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor Magoon. Councillor Hawes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. On Sunday, the mayor and myself and CEO Panasic were judging the pies at the Alberta Days. So enjoyed that. I'm glad there wasn't any more because that was a lot of pie in a short period of time. But it was very well attended. They had great. The bouncy houses were extremely busy with the kids, and the music was great. Arts Walk was there, so it was a really well organized event. I can't say who won maybe somebody else can tell who won the duck race because I'm not sure, but we had the duck race kick things off. So that's all I have to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Councillor Chambers.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, Councillor Chambers. Councillor Race.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The what I'd like to talk about again, I think it's the third time I've mentioned it, is September 9th. There's a very important information session on the men's shed. It's going to be happening at Bridges from 6 to 8. Supper is served. There seems to be a lot of misinformation out there in regards to what a men's shed is. So this would be a wonderful opportunity for people to go to this information session and get the correct information. And then tell everybody the correct information. And that's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Race. And I myself have nothing for reporting this week. We'll go to CAO Panasic for CAO reporting.
Thank you, Mayor. The only two items that I wanted to just bring to council's attention is that we do have two key hires. We have already introduced Mr. Murphy, who's our new Director of Community and Protective Services. And we have also hired a Manager of Protective Services and Fire Chief, Mr. Ken Monroe, who we will introduce at the next council meeting to everybody, but some two key hires for us.
Thank you, CAO Panasic. Council, is there anything further for reporting? Seeing nothing, we'll move to section 11. We have a couple of closed session items, and I'll look for a motion from council. Councillor Haas.
I'd like to make the motion to go into closed session.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is the council move into closed session at 4:32 p.m. And councillors, please vote now. And that motion is carried unanimously. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we return to our regular council meeting for September 2nd, 2025. We are on section 11 and item 11.1 CHFR Community Hazardous Fuel Reduction Program. And we are looking for a motion from council. Councillor Haas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the council direct administration to send a second letter to the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors requesting that the province clear the future highway bypass lands to allow the town to maintain the area as a fire guard.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is the council direct administration to send a second letter to the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors requesting that the province clear the future highway bypass lands to allow the town to maintain the area as a fire guard. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Magoon voting in favor by hand, as is Councillor Haas. And Chambers voting in favor by hand. And that will be carried unanimously. Council, is there anything further for item 11.1? Seeing nothing, we'll move to item 11.2, labor and council. Councillor Haas.
Bear with me 1 second here. I'd like to move the council agree to extend the strategic project contracts to March 31st, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Haas. Council, the motion on the floor is the council agree to extend the strategic project contracts to March 31st, 2026. Is there any discussion? Seeing nothing, we'll call the question. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Chamber in favor by hand, Councillor Magoon in favor by hand as well. And that is carried unanimously. Council, is there anything further for item 11.2 on the agenda this evening? Seeing nothing, we'll move to section 12 and adjournment. Councillor Race.
I'd like to move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Councillor Race. Council, the motion on the floor is the council adjourn at 5:22 p.m. Councillors, please vote now. Councillor Race voting in favor by hand, as is Councillor Magoon. And that motion is carried unanimously. Oh, sorry, Councillor Chambers voting in favor by hand. Thank you. That motion is carried unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming.